Right, guys and girls, welcome back to my podcast, Steve Sully's Study. I've got a friend of mine, a guy who beats me up sometimes on a Sunday, a guy called Dan Morley. Thank you very much, brother, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
No problem. So, where my podcast started almost 3 years ago, I wanted to fill a bit of a void for myself because I'm 35 years of age, and when I was younger, there was no such thing as social media. There was definitely no such thing as podcasts. And I wasn't the brightest kid at school. And I feel that if there was YouTube channels, podcasts, that kind of stuff, I could have listened to interviews like this and got a bit of inspiration. So part of me doing this is giving back, hopefully, to a younger demographic so they can listen to, entrepreneurs, they can listen to athletes, they can listen to artists, and they can get a bit of direction. One thing that I've always said, my background is in sales, and I've obviously done a bit of boxing. Nowhere near to the level you're doing it at, but I've done boxing since I was 14 years of age. And whether you're in sales or business, there is a complete transferable mindset and skill set with boxers, fighters, probably athletes, but more so boxing because of that will to win. So I love talking to boxers because I feel that I'm interested in boxing and, the hard work, dedication and your sacrifice. At the same time, when I listen to people like you, I can take little bits away and use it in business. It's the mindset point of view. So anyway, I know you got a fight coming up in August.
August the 7th.
Cool. Yeah. So you're undefeated at the moment as a professional?
Yes, I'm 6-0 as a professional. Coming up my 7th fight, I'm boxing a kid called Lewis Isaacs. It'll be my first 10-rounder. Which is a big step up on paper, but the way we've been training in the gym, we've been ready for this for probably a year now. So yeah, it's all heading in the right direction. Yeah.
So off air, we were talking about like a bit of misconception almost with boxing, because if you're like a bit of a passive fan, and you're looking at the AJs, you're looking at even most recently the Logan Paul exhibition with Floyd Mayweather, then you've got these other the Jake Pauls, etc. You see the money, you see the fame, you see the cars, the women, you see all that kind of stuff. And boxing is about that, but there's also a journey way before that, typically, that boxers go through, amateurs then into professional, which isn't so nice. I mean, I had the pleasure of sponsoring Sam Webb, who was British champion, then also Bradley Skeet, that was, won it outright, the British title. And I saw the places that they were fighting, and it was only when they started getting to, I would say, the British level, or just maybe the English sort of title level.
Yeah.
That's when they started getting a bit of a name for themselves, and they started getting paid fairly well, and they started getting the endorsement. So, from your point of view, Dan, what is it like going through like the amateurs, then to the pros, and that kind of that hard sort of journey that you have to go on in order to get to the big time?
Yeah, it's very up and down, of course. You have so many different experiences. Personally, I started boxing at 14 years old, having never had a physical confrontation outside of the boxing gym. For me, I just went straight into the amateur side of the game, and I boxed after around 6 months of training. And initially, at first, like we were talking about earlier, it really isn't glitzy and glamoury when you get started. Yeah. I boxed in Balham Boxing Club. They had a little hut in the middle of the park, and there was probably about 50 people there. It was just a complete dive, And yeah, I mean, experiencing the nerves for the first time was just something I'd never ever experienced before. And with time, I thought, this must get easier. I can assure you, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just sort of stuck with the sport. I've been out for 10 years now. And I had 26 amateur fights. Yeah. Boxed all over the country in some lovely venues, some national finals, some leisure centres, some places that are not so nice. And I turned pro at 21. Now, the amateur side.
And how old are you now?
I'm 24 now. So I've been professional actively for 3 years. I've been active for 2 years due to the pandemic.
I had to think I'm 11 years older than you.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I am, but...
No.
Yeah.
No, well...
I can't believe how young you are.
Yeah, did you never know?
No, I knew you were like in sort of mid 20s, but just the way, obviously I've had the pleasure of sparring you. Even we done, I think, a round or two yesterday.
Yesterday.
as far as like your boxing ability and even your strength and your skill, I feel like you're older.
Yeah.
You know, that if that makes sense, in a very respectful way, you've got a mature head on you. You know,
no, thank you.
You can read the game very well.
Thank you very much. I mean, that is just purely perseverance and you know, just constant training, really. When I did start boxing at 14, I was petrified going into the gym. There were lots of travellers in the gym. All of those travellers are my friends now. But at the time, I didn't know them, and there was an aura of intimidation about them going in there. And they just beat me from pillar to post. I think I was probably about 58 kilograms, and they were in their 90 kg, you know, and they would just batter me.
Yeah.
But those experiences and just persevering through the gritty, less glamorous side of the game is what gave me that grit and that toughness to stay with the sport. And it's one of the reasons now that I sort of contribute to why I am the way I am now.
Yeah.
You know, being able to sort of stand in and, you know, do what I can do in the ring. So, yeah, but going back to your previous question with the glitzy and the glamorous side of it, turning pro, you know, is when, because I had 25 fights as an amateur.
Yeah.
But people didn't really start paying attention until I turned professional. Sort of friends and family, you know, I'd get maybe 5 or 6 people come to my amateur fights. But I sold over 120 tickets for my pro debut.
It's good.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and you know, it's more illustrious. There's more, you know, attraction to the professional game, you know.
Yeah.
So going into that, I thought, well, this pro game's easy. You know, I've done 120 tickets. I'll make a little bit of money out of that.
Yeah.
Because the way you make money when you do turn professional without a big promoter is from selling tickets. You'll pay, you know, £1,000 to your opponent, £1,000 to the house, and anything over you sort of share with your cornerman, your team.
Yeah.
So I got to the day of my fight. You know, I'd been out the ring for 2 years due to previous issues that will probably come over later. And, you know, I was buzzing, nervous, but, you know, buzzing, excited. And I got a phone call. Your opponent's pulled out.
Oh.
Yeah. We can't get anyone to replace. You're gonna have to pull out. We'd have to delay it. So that was just the initial kick in the gut. And, you know, it like the reality of professional boxing being a business just hit me instantly. You know, I had to refund every ticket personally via bank transfer. I had to ring everyone personally just to let them know, look, don't go to the show because I'm not actually boxing anymore. And yeah, I mean, you know, the promoter of the show, Mo Pryor, he was really, really good. He got me on a few weeks later. You know, no fault of his own, no fault of anyone. You know, I think it was just an injury to my opponent, but just that initial...
It happens.
Oh, it happens all the time. I've had amateur fights where I've had my vest on, I've been warming up. You know, you build yourself up, get to the you know, the door to walk to the ring, and my opponent's just bottled it and pulled out. You know, travel all the way up the country, and you know, it happens. It's a tough sport, and it's not for everyone. So these things happen.
Do you know, like, so if we compare, let's say, boxing to football, and I know you can't really compare them, but I think I was having a conversation with my business partner Joe. He was semi-pro. He'd done a scholarship and stuff. Really good footballer. And obviously, I've got a kid. I've got a second one on the way in September. And cheers, mate. And got another boy, so I'm gonna have a little football team myself. And talking about like what sport he should do. At the moment, he's doing a little bit of touch rugby just to like get him used to like picking up the ball and becoming a bit tough. Trying to kick a football around. Then when I get home from boxing, I'll just try and have a little mess around with him. He's only 2.5, so he doesn't really know what's going on. But I'm trying to just show him, you know, what certain sports are about. Yeah. And anyway, the point I was getting to is this: like, obviously in boxing, if you make it big time, like the Mayweathers, like the Joshuas, I mean, they were talking before the whole kerfuffle with Fury and AJ. They were talking about both of them making at least 100 million each in Saudi. I mean, that is, forget life-changing money. That is changing. That's generational wealth.
It's more money than you can even think of spending. Really. Yeah,
you could buy a little island or something with that. You know. Yeah. But you know, few and far between, isn't it? So, but like in football, even if you don't make it per se into the Premier League, but you go into the Championship, they're still making 5, 10, 15, 20 grand a week. So like, what people don't understand is the risk for boxers, from number one, not getting paid as well as they could have got paid if they were a different kind of athlete, but also the injuries.
Yeah.
So like that kind of mindset, do you ever like kind of overthink it, think about it too much about number one, injuries, but number two, like the pay that you could probably expose yourself to later on in your career? Yeah,
of course. I mean, you have to weigh the options up. Boxing isn't like football. I love football. I played football for 10 years, but boxing is far more dangerous than football. It is a sport where you're, going in there and taking head trauma consistently. You have to, like I say, you have to weigh up your options, your passion for the sport, firstly, because it is tough. Secondly, for me, the money it would be nice. You know what I mean? I mean, who wouldn't want to get to the top and make enough money for their family to live comfortably for the rest of their lives? But it isn't my main priority. I think, if you're in it for the money, then, you're in it for the wrong reasons. I've sort of lost my trail of thought now.
But even with you saying that, and I think there's a lot of integrity with what you said there. I mean, like they say it always in business. This business, for example, they say if you're in it just for the money, then it's not going to work. And I do agree with that. But I think you have to have an underlying view that whether you're a boxer, footballer, in art or in, wellness or whatever, you always have to remember that we are a business. And the only way a business can thrive if you're making money. And there's got to be an element of thinking about, right, if I take this path, yes, I'm doing it for a passion, but how can I capitalise on it for me and my family?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm lucky because I do what I love for a living,
Yeah.
And I started boxing as a personal thing to improve myself. I was a really, really shy kid. Until I was probably about 7 or 8, I wouldn't make eye contact with people or talk to people,
Right.
And like I said, I'd never had a confrontation outside. I grew up in quite a rough area where I didn't really fit in, so to speak, because I'm not a soft kid, but I'd rather just get on with people. So for me, going into a boxing gym, I played football and cricket, which is completely different. Going into a boxing gym, which I would have thought would be an intimidating environment, it literally went against my character completely. And doing that and pushing myself out of my comfort zone gave me just power, just sort of this element of control.
Yeah.
And that is why I started. Once you overcome that initial fear, and you get addicted, and you get hooked, it's just addictive. And then for me personally, I was just gaining so much confidence. My social life was improving, and as I just continued, I could see myself changing as a person through boxing.
Yeah.
And then, you sort of get caught up in it, and you've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's just, you don't really realise at the time until you think about it, but almost everything I've got in my life, my work, my confidence has come from boxing. So I'm lucky in that degree where it made me.
Yeah.
And now that I've been able to stick with it and get through the tough times, I believe I can make a career out of it now. So it's kind of worked where my passion has given me everything that I've got.
Yeah.
And now I can kind of reap the rewards for that, and just persevere.
I can definitely second it, because going back to what I was said earlier, I wasn't very, very bright at school. I never ever took time off and like bunked off of school, so to speak. Yeah. I'd done all my qualifications. I'd done pretty shit, but school didn't resonate with me. And some people talk about their school years, the best years of their life. I'm going to be totally honest. I hated school.
Yeah.
And I don't say that lightly. I hated it. I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to get into the real world, so-called real world, and start making money. But just like you said, I was fairly timid. I wasn't, let's say, shy, but there were certain scenarios where I felt a little bit sort of out of my comfort zone. Yeah. When I went into that boxing gym when I was 14 years of age, and they threw me into sparring after the first few sessions, you rapidly start building confidence.
Yeah, you have no choice. You either sink or swim when you get into the boxing gym. It's not necessarily ruthless where you're going to get beaten up, but if you're serious about it and you do chuck yourself in, it is sink or swim.
Yeah.
And, obviously you adapted well to it because you kind of have to. It forces you into that, it forces you to either give it a go or give up,
Yeah. So like what I was going to say, it gives you like the foundations to go into other things. And I was having a bit of a debate, not yesterday, but the Sunday before. I was in Devon seeing my in-laws, and my sort of what do they call it, mother-in-law and father-in-law,
Yeah.
my missus's parents, they're very, very, very different to my mum and dad. So my mum, I would say, is quite leery. She's very outspoken. She's very opinionated. She'll tell you how she thinks. She's very black and white. Yeah. She'll say, like, I don't know, that bottle of water. She'll go, no, that's shit, or that's good. She's very much like that. She won't pull her punches. Yeah. And my dad isn't like that, but he's quite confident as well. Yeah. Then you got her mum and dad. They're very, very, very conservative and quite warriors. Yeah. And I was having a conversation about my son Mason going into boxing, and I was like, no, you can't do that. And you know, what happens if he gets punched in the head and all that kind of stuff. And I said, without trying to be disrespectful, that you don't understand boxing. Because the thing is, it gives you so much confidence. Like for me, I probably wouldn't have started a business for myself had I not gone into a boxing ring. Because the way I look at it is, business can go really bad and it can go really well. And it's in times when business is going quite badly or not as well as you hoped is when you need to control your emotion. What better way of learning to control your emotion when you get smashed in the face or in the stomach by someone that is much better than you, bigger than you, and more skillful than you? Yeah. When you can learn to master that and the mindset of that, you can try and transfer that into anything you want in life. Yeah. And that's what boxing gives you. And I don't know if you would second that.
Oh, 1,000%. You know, I've had so many people, you know, not say it to me personally, like you know, face to face, but will either comment on my things or comment to my family members. How can you let your boy box? How can you he's a thug? Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't be the furthest thing from it. Yeah. You know, if you go in with an uneducated mind, you would just see the fist flying, blood, bruises. But like you say, it forces you to go out of your comfort zone and push yourself to the max. And once you do that, and once you can overcome that, like you say, you just develop that mindset you can take into all other aspects of your life. You know, I look at the kids now. I do a lot of work. Well, I did a lot of work in schools teaching kids how to box. I just sort of, you know, I just went in and, you know, asked whether schools would want to, and there was a lot of interest. And there's so many kids with anxiety, and that struggle with depression. You know, I'm talking 10, 11, 12. You know, you know, lots of kids are getting bullied online. They're just on their phones. They're not opening themselves up, and they're closing themselves off. And what I found with the boxing, putting them through it is, once you break through break their guard, so to speak, they open up. And it's sort of, I'm watching what I went through at a similar time. I think it's worse now because kids can just switch off. They can just go on their phones and lose themselves in this imaginary world. And they can just completely and utterly, you know, shut themselves off. You know,
like you were saying about when you do the ring walk or when you're having a fight. I mean, even yesterday, I mean, I'm 35 years of age and I've done plenty of rounds of sparring. No doubt you've done so much more than me. But I don't know about you, but even when I'm in there and I've sparred pretty much everybody in there, and I know some people I'm better, a lot of people I'm worse, but I still get that small amount of anxiety just before Adam says, all right, box. And the thing is, I think that's healthy, because if you can learn to control that small amount of anxiety every single week when you're going into an uncomfortable situation, then I'm not saying life is a walk in the park, but you become familiar with that feeling. I think I'm in a bit of, you know, I'm in this age group where, you know, I'm from the old school, but I'm also experiencing the new train of thought. Like, part of me, I mean, we're going down this rabbit hole of a different conversation here, but anxiety, depression, I understand it exists. And my mum's view on it literally would be, I said this to another one of my guests. I read a meme once, which was, it said something along the lines of, I died once and my mother told me to walk it off. And what it was taking the piss out of is the old school mentality, which is, you know, get on with it. And my mum is very much like that. My mum and dad are very much like that. And for me, it served me well. I think whatever happens, just get on with it. But then I also understand that view isn't necessarily right for everybody. Some people need to be worked on. Some people do need just to get on with it. So sometimes I feel that it's getting so much exposure that so many people lean on it. But at the same time, if you don't give it enough exposure, the people that do actually need help then don't get the help. But going back to the point I was going to make is, I think field boxing, that should be brought back into schools because, not only from the pure, training point of view and the mindset point of view, but it does allow you to overcome certain fears.
100%. And going back to what you were saying about, the anxiety and depression, I've had family members that have suffered and had counselling. I've seen it firsthand what it can do to people. It 100% exists, and it isn't a subject to laugh about or ignore. But I do think that you don't want to take too soft an approach, because I think all of the labels nowadays, kids will label themselves, and then the mind is a very powerful thing. If you convince yourself you have something, then you're gonna have it. So it's a real tricky one. But like you say, linking it back to boxing, you can't overthink when you're in a boxing ring. It is sink or swim. So just taking that overthinking out of it, you just have to find what's deep within yourself. And for me personally, that's really helped me mentally with my state of mind. And like I say, linking it back to the schools I worked in, I had 2 kids in there, and they were, nagging with each other. Do you know what I mean? I think one of the kids had a funny name, and he made fun of his name, just silly things. And this kid wasn't coming into school because of it, and it was affecting him massively. Yeah. It was really, for me, I just, what I mean? But knowing this kid the way I know him, he was really struggling. So what I did, it was probably a little bit stupid, but I got the kid that was picking on him, and I say picking on him, do you know what I mean? Like,
making jabs at him.
Yeah. And I just got him to spar. I said, look, just go in and spar. They'd been doing my class for a few weeks, and the timid kid agreed, and but
you're getting instant respect for each other.
Oh yeah. The timid kid actually ended up getting chinned.
Did he?
So but the kid that was, making fun, it's kids, isn't it? But the kid was making fun of him, instantly snapped out of it.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there was that instant respect. They hugged straight away. The kid wasn't hurt, but he was just shocked. He'd never been hit before. Yeah. And I think that that made them realise, do you know what I mean, that what is the point in being...
They're both humans at the end of the day, yeah. My mum and dad used to say, well, my dad mostly used to say to me, if someone picks on you, like, I know this is probably not the right view now, because it's not politically like the right stance, but I'm going to just tell you how I feel. My advice to my son: if someone picks on you, you fucking fight them back. There's no like grey area of it. If someone sticks it on you, stick it back on them. Yeah. Don't ever be a bully. No. That's completely wrong. But if someone sticks it on you, you stick it back on them. My dad always used to say to me that even if you stick it back on them and you actually get beaten up, they will always be wary the second time around, because they know, if I pick on this person, they ain't gonna lay down. They're gonna stand up for themselves, and bullies don't like that. So again, I just feel that having that boxing respect and a little bit of sparring, whether that's body sparring or something quite light, I think I don't know, you just both work out, you're both human. And at the end of the day, you both feel. Yeah. And once you start respecting the other person can feel and have emotions, and it isn't a joke by taking the piss out of them or even bullying them, I think it eradicates a lot of stuff. And, when I raised a bit of money for Bromley and Downham for my last Queensbury fight, which is my amateur club, very, very close to my heart, because like I said, it built up I built my confidence from that gym. Looking at the statistics, even knife crime, when you put a boxing club, an amateur club in a community, knife crime, gang violence, and all kinds of stuff on the streets come down. That's not a coincidence. I just think more needs to be done, and I think boxing definitely could be a big part of that.
It's all about respect, not necessarily. It's all about respect, not necessarily just respecting others, but respecting yourself. And 99% of bullying or bullies are suffering with their own insecurities, and it's their way of venting. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't necessarily bullied as a kid, but people would take the piss out of me and pick on me because I was the youngest of my group, and I struggled with that. But in hindsight, and going through the boxing gyms, because if you're a bully in a boxing gym, you're gonna get smacked about, and you're not gonna last, because there's people out there that can control their emotions. If you're going in angry, which I've seen plenty of people doing,
I saw Sam Webb down Bromley and down. Do you know who Sam Webb is?
No.
So you know, obviously, iBox.
Yeah.
Jim and Bradley Skeet used to be.
I know
down
Bradley.
there.
Yeah.
So he was just the kind of the phase before Bradley came in. Bradley, when he turned over, Sam was already British champion, I think.
Yeah.
Sam used to have long hair until we converted to being a pro. Then he chopped it off. But as an amateur, he used to have this long hair.
Yeah.
And anyway, this big bodybuilder came down, but he was clearly on roids, right? And he was angry. There was two of them, and they got in the ring. They started sparring. They sparred Sam or Joe Wood first. They were twins. One of them was southpaw. One of them was orthodox. And I think Joe Woods was probably the better fighter. And I think Joe Woods was in there, and Joe Woods was quite skinny at the time, but very, very good technical fighter. This bodybuilder ran at him and just fucking floored him a few times. Anyway, Reg turned round, went, Sam was punching the bag. He said, come and spar. And Sam was like this. And this bodybuilder was up here. When I tell you, Sam destroyed him. And I was sitting there as a kid on the sideline. I was in awe. I was like, this guy is like He-Man with his long hair. He was like, I was in awe of him. I was like, you are a fucking legend. And the way I saw him tear a new arsehole in this bodybuilder, I was just like, that's the guy I want to be like.
Oh man, you know, I've been in with so many bullies, and if you go in like a raging bull into a boxing ring, you're just going to get picked to pieces, and you're going to be made to look stupid.
You're going to get humbled very quickly.
Oh, really quickly. There's a famous quote, and it's boxing is not a tough man's game; it's a thinking man's game. And that's what I mean. You have to slow down. You have to work on your craft, because you can't just go in there and be a bully. And you know, if you are a bully and you go in, I've seen so many bullies be humbled and become better people from it. Yeah. Because they'll go in there and realize, right, I can't just go and mess around with people and treat people like shit, basically.
Yeah.
And then they will go. It's like you say, the respect thing, like punching a bully back, or if someone starts a fight and you hit them back.
Yeah.
As soon as they got that respect, it kind of humbles them and changes them as a person. Because I'd say 99% of them are doing it through their own insecurities. You probably get like 1 or 2% that just nuts.
Yeah. But
as soon as they get that back and they feel what it's like to be vulnerable, then they're gonna benefit from it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tricky one. I mean, I wouldn't say I've ever been a bully. Like it's never crossed my mind.
Yeah, it's just, some people, I guess, built like that. And like you said, it's from insecurities and some of their own experiences. Yeah. So look, let's talk about, so you got your fight coming up,
yes,
right? Want to ask you a couple of things. So preparing for a fight, I know what it takes. Not that I've been through the same, the training sessions that you go through because you're a pro, but I've had a bit of a taste of it with fighting for the Queensberry League, etc.
Yeah.
Apart from mindset, because I know that's a clear one, it's a hard work, dedication, it's the will to win, all that kind of stuff, and the belief.
Yeah.
But putting that to a side, what really does it take for an athlete, but specifically a pro fighter? What does it really take in order to become the best in that fight?
Perseverance. Just keep turning up. You're going to have days, like you say, the mindset. Going back to it, it's all about the mindset. You just have to keep going, because if you go off your highs, then there's only going to be a few. We train, for a fight 10 times a week. So that's, you're doing it twice a day. You're going to have days where you feel amazing on the top of the world, and you're going to have days where you just feel lethargic. Yeah. So all it is just going, just turning up. Once you turn up, you'll give it. It doesn't matter whether you give it 100%, which we do most of the time, or whether you just feel flat. As long as you turn up and give it, then you're going to know deep down inside that you've put it in.
Yeah.
There's no worse feeling than getting to a fight night and knowing that you missed sessions and knowing that you didn't put it in, because, once you get in that ring and the nerves are there and there's people there, you're going to get found out.
Yeah.
So I would say it's just turning up, just perseverance. I've seen so many good boxers, just in anything, in footballers, in any sport, in any aspect of life. I see so many like wonder kids that come through. Fucking hell, this kid's amazing, and then they give up.
Yeah,
because it's too hard.
Yeah,
you just have to ride the waves, man. Go with the flow.
Yeah,
ride the highs and just deal with the lows.
So as I mentioned to you, I've had the pleasure of being down the Haymaker gym a few times. Sparred a guy called Ollie Edwards. I say loosely sparred. I mean, he bloody gave me a bit of a schooling, and he's a great pro.
Yeah.
interviewed Ruben Tabarez, which is a great strength and conditioning. He's part of our wellness company called Mimboso as well. Great guy, very, very knowledgeable. And their whole, I don't want to speak for everybody down at gym, but for what I've seen between Ruben and Ollie and a few other people, it's their whole big thing is about power and strength. They believe
physically.
They believe if you become very strong, very powerful, that's great core and fundamentals for becoming a good boxer. And there is some truth, there's a lot of truth in that. But then you go to another gym and they talk about speed, for example. That is their number one factor. You go to another gym and they say timing. Yeah. And there's all that old saying, which is, speed beats power, timing beats speed, etc. Yeah. But the facts are, if you become very strong, if you become great at timing and also have a lot of speed, you're going to become a ruthless fighter. What would you say out of those three factors, though, is the thing that you find to make the biggest difference?
I don't think it's any of them particularly. I think it is IQ.
Okay.
IQ. Because you can have the most powerful, fittest fighter in the world, but if he doesn't land a shot because he hasn't got his feet in the right place, then it's like... it's basically, what's the word I'm looking for? It's useless.
Yeah.
And if you've got someone that's fast but has no power on the shot, then, it's knowing what to do and when to do it, being a well-rounded fighter. So I think you can take aspects of every kind of training. You've got your new strength and conditioning kind of training, which is going to get you to the apex level of fitness. Then you've got the old school style, which is just road work.
Yeah.
Taking punches in the stomach that's just going to condition your body. For me personally, I feel like the best way I've learned through boxing is listening to my coaches. That's just basic.
Yeah.
But doing homework on the game, just watching, studying.
Who'd you watch then? When you were sitting there indoors, who'd you gravitate towards the most?
Well, my favourite fighter is Gennady Golovkin. I do gravitate towards fighters that are aggressive and just ones that catch my eye. And
do you like Canelo?
Oh yeah, but who doesn't, man? He's class, yeah. But I just love Golovkin. I remember watching him because I followed him before he was a star. I remember him boxing this bloke called Lachwan Simon.
Okay.
And it was in the back end of the night, like, do you know what I mean? It was about 40 people in the crowd, and I think it was in Germany or something. And just the way he boxed, I watched him, and then I watched all the videos on him, studying his style, and then he boxed Gregor Proxer in his American debut, and then just took off. And I followed that journey just because I loved his style. So I'll watch all of the new fighters. I wouldn't necessarily say I've got a style like Lomachenko, but you can learn from him. You can learn from a Mayweather. But you go back, you look at Roberto Duran, you look at Sugar Ray Leonard, that era. You go back even further, you got Jack Dempsey. He did this thing where you shift and you twist your feet. So basically, you go from orthodox stance to southpaw stance, and that way you can generate power.
Yeah.
When was Dempsey? Like the 1920s? Yeah. So I'm just sitting there, it's Saturday night, and I'm just watching black and white footage of 1920s boxing.
Yeah.
But I'm just learning, do you know what I mean? And then you go into the gym, you try it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. And it's like that word I just said, perseverance. You just persevere with it, and then you take things on board.
What about the strength and conditioning side of stuff? Because when I see you guys, I'm either seeing you on the bag, obviously running up Box Hill together, doing the sparring. Yeah. The strength and conditioning, I mean, how much of... Because I know some boxers, which I've been around, they don't do any, but they're really good boxers. Then, like I said, there's some boxers I know do a lot of it, more towards the heavyweights or the heavyweights. Yeah. But how much of a part does that play in your own kind of boxing?
Not massive. I mean, muscles don't win fights, but they can help you knock someone out. Do you know what I mean? If you can get an extra 20% of power from your legs and your back when you twist through a punch, it's only going to help you. But I don't think it is the be all and end all. You need to know how to deliver the punch and how to be able to get out of the way of the punch that comes back. So we spend a lot more time on our boxing technique. We do 10, 12 rounds of bags, pads, sparring, 5 days a week, and then we'll do...
That's with Adam Martin, yeah?
That's with Adam Martin and Mick Guilfoyle down at the Boxing Booths gym.
What they like to work underneath?
Oh, they're brilliant. I mean, I met Adam Martin 5 years ago. I boxed on a Wellington Barracks show. I remember because my dad wasn't allowed in because it's the barracks. And it's really, really, really fancy. Like, they was raising money. I remember someone put a bet on me for charity. They put thousands on me. And when I won, I was like, yes, in the crowd. And I've got a funny story about this actually. But I had my fight.
Right.
You know, Darren Barker was at the show, Steve Collins, loads of sportsmen, celebrities. But I'd won my fight, and then afterwards I was just eating a chicken drumstick, down by the buffet, and there was a bit of commotion going on down the alley, down the hall.
Yeah, corridor. Yeah.
Corridor. Yeah, and there was obviously someone that was quite well known because people were asking for pictures, and I sort of looked over, and it was Ian Wright. But I think he was heading to the toilet. I think he probably just needed a slash, So he's like, give me a minute, sort of. He was being polite, but sort of, nah. So I thought, right, I'm just going to leave him alone, And he walked past me, and he went, Danny, like that. I was a bit taken aback. I just had my chicken drumstick there. I was like, and he knew my name, he knew who I was. Yeah, he come up to me and
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. I wouldn't say I was starstruck, but I was a bit taken aback, by it. And we were chatting for like 5 minutes, and
what nice feeling that was.
Yeah, mate, I'm a big Chelsea fan, you know what I mean? So
yeah, so am I.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I will say big Chelsea fan. I'm a Chelsea fan. My brother actually works there as a grounds person. He's an absolute fanatic. So when they won the Champions League, I mean, that was the pinnacle. You know,
one of the best days ever.
That was like winning lottery for him. For me, I could, it's great. But I don't invest all my emotion into it if that makes sense.
I was pretty chuffed. I had my bottle of water. All of my friends were smashed. I had my bottle of water, but I was chuffed.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I mean, obviously he was Palace and Arsenal. I'm a Chelsea fan,
Yeah.
But no, he was really nice. But later that night, I'd boxed a kid from Newcastle, I think, so they come a long way, and this kid was good. And I just had a scrap with him and I won. But Adam Martin was at this show.
Yeah.
And he messaged me and he said, he basically said, you need to learn how to move your head because you're going to take too much punishment. Because I was like Jake LaMotta. I was like a raging bull back then. And that was my first sort of contact with Adam. And then I boxed probably for a few more years. I boxed a kid called Lewis Richardson.
Okay.
Alfie Winter as well. And Liam Forrest. I think I had 3 more fights. Oh man, Lewis Richardson just battered me. But he's just, got to the Olympic qualifiers, a real good boxer. And then I think it was about 19, my granddad died. It sounds a bit silly, but my dog died. And I sort of found, just going out and enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I took a few years out from the sport. I just wasn't, I'd done it for 8 years and I just...
took a time to reflect.
Yeah. And it was sort of at that time in my life where I was working at the airport at the time. I was working at Gatwick on airside. And I get up at 3 in the morning, do 12 hours, get back at like 6 in the afternoon every day. I basically just spoke to my girlfriend and I wasn't happy. She asked me, what would I do in my ideal world? It was boxing, and I wanted to be a personal trainer as well. And from then, I messaged Adam Martin, who was training Mark Rice, Adam Barker, Jamie Carley as pros at the time. And I just went down to his gym after 2 years out, started training again and thought, fucking hell, this game's hard. I might not give this comeback a go. Packed it in again, and then sort of Adam just stuck with me, told me what a talent I was. And ever since then, 4 years later, I've been training with him consistently. He's been my trainer. And we've come on leaps and bounds, man. I mean, just Adam personally, I mean, he had a real health scare. He had, I think people know about it. He was unwell. Yeah. And just going through that with him at the time was scary because that could have been serious. Yeah. He got through that, and then he had a motorbike crash, and he went through a lot, and sort of coming up together, we've both finally got this. We're both finally in a good place now. He's got loads of good fighters now in the boxing booth gym, and I'm getting to a part of my career with him where we're sort of getting through that initial stage, So I got a lot of time for Adam.
So I know there's basically like 2 gyms underneath the boxing booth, isn't there? You got the Adam Booth fighters and you got the Adam Martin fighters. Yeah. I mean, is there a bit of cross-pollination where you guys like help each other out and spar each other? Yeah. Obviously, I know the Box Hill running. There will be both sets of gyms or both sets of fighters running together and stuff. Do you do the sparring? Do you do any other kind of work together?
So yeah, I mean, we're basically one gym really. I'd never met Josh Kelly, Michael Conlon, pardon me, Shannon Courtney. That's Adam Booth's lot. Adam Booth's stable. And then we've got Jermaine Brown, Lake Onobiora, Rob Caswell. You know, I don't want to forget any names, but we kind of went in like that, and now it's just one. We spar every Wednesday, like Harlem Eubank, Josh Kelly.
I've seen you spar like Harlem and stuff, because I know I've seen some posts and stuff. You sparred Josh Kelly?
I sparred them all. I sparred, Josh, Harlem.
Mick,
I sparred Mick, yeah.
What about Ryan Burnett when he used to be around?
I wasn't around when Ryan Burnett was around. I think he'd retired before we moved to the boxing booth gym.
Okay,
but I have seen him. Yeah, he's been in the gym once or twice. But sparring this caliber of fighter, I mean, obviously we're a good caliber as well, you know what I mean? But we don't have that world level experience that a Mick Conlon or a Josh Kelly will have from the Olympics. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
What's it like sparring? Yeah, them three. You got Mick, you got Harlem, and you got Josh Kelly. Yeah. I mean, they all... You can actually see, I would say more so with Josh Kelly and Harlem, when I look at it from an outsider and I'm watching them on TV, I can see that style. They're very, very... There's kind of like similar traits. Yeah. And also with Mick Conlon, but less... I think he's more like aggressive, like Mick, he looks like. So what's it like to spar them three, and what qualities do they have?
Oh, it's easy. You just pick them to pieces. No, it's nah. Coming up with Adam, right, in the 3 years before we were at the boxing booth gym, we were training well. But the only thing I felt personally I lacked was that top level sparring that would take me right out of my comfort zone. And once we moved to this gym and I jumped in with Josh Kelly and done 6 and 8 rounds, it's like a fight, you know. There'll be like 30, 40 people in the gym pre-COVID time, obviously. And it just pushes you completely out of your comfort zone. You know you're in there against someone that has that experience against you. Do you know what I mean? But that was what my mindset was going in before. As soon as I got in, I thought, I'm on the same level as these guys. And, you know, just sparring them, we push each other to the mats and make each other better fighters, you know. So it's an amazing experience. It's made me come on leaps and bounds, you know. Other fighters as well, like Ryan Martin, who's had about 16, 17 fights. Abbas Barral, I mean, he's just boxed for a world title eliminator. You can't get better sparring than that. It pushes you to your max. It kind of emulates the fight night a little more, because you get like the heaviness in the legs that you get in a fight night. The tension, the stakes are a little higher because you want to help them out, but you know you're going to be in for a tough 6, 8, 10 rounds. So sparring this caliber of fighter is really good. But I mean, I've been sparring Jermaine Brown for 4 years, and he's light heavyweight, and he's going to be a big problem in his division. He's really good. And
Maria's a bit of a fan of Jermaine.
So
I had to drop it.
Mate, one of my friends, I won't name him, but he would always come to my fights and be like, "Is Jermaine fighting?
Yeah,
it's Jermaine fighting." Jermaine's the man.
We've got a fan of Jermaine in there. But anyway, so I've sparred Jermaine only once. Bloody hell, is he... I found him tough to spar, man. One, because of his height. Two, he doesn't, you know, even if you're like, no, definitely not on his level, he's still quite spiteful.
Yeah, he's spiteful.
Yeah, but you have to be.
You need that spite, and that's another thing sparring this caliber of fighter. I mean, we are in it for our living. It is our livelihood. And when you get in with a Mick Conlon, let's say, because he probably has the most ruthless mindset in the gym. He is an animal. I mean, he would just out-train anyone. He will drop until he's out-trained someone. Getting in there, I've seen him spar top-level fighters, and I've seen him spar prospects coming through, and I've seen him spar kids their first time in the gym. He's spiteful with everyone. But it's that sink or swim thing that we were talking about earlier.
Of course.
You know, it's either going to take you to that next level or it's going to break you.
And also, if you're a pro or if you're a boxer and you go a bit too light on someone, what you're really doing is condition yourself to go light. I mean, Charlie Beats said you don't want to take the piss out of someone, obviously, and completely pulverise them. But at the same time, if they're in that ring, you need to treat it as a bit of a fight. Yeah. You know?
If you're classy and you know what you're doing, there's no better way than teaching someone.
Yeah.
Than by clocking them with something.
Of course.
You know how to hold the shot. You don't hurt them with the shot. But if you can do a trick that they've never seen before, they're not going to remember it if you miss. But if you clock them right on the nose, then they'll remember that. And then they'll practice it. Do you know what I mean? That's from my own experiences getting beaten up when I first started. I learned so much from that. I learned so much about myself. Just, you know, I had no chance, but I just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I was a bit of an idiot, really, in hindsight, but it's stood me in good stead for where I am now.
Yeah.
Because you can dig into your reserves from tough experiences. So yeah, that sparring at the gym is amazing, and obviously I can't forget to shout out Fozzie, Paul Forrester. That man
He's such a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he personally, for me, he pushes me to my limits. I will be dead, and he will say, "Come on, Dan, you got to kill yourself." He will force me up that hill. He will force me through grim things. He will stamp on my stomach, but it's a tough sport, and you need that. And having him around, he pushes everyone. We have this thing. We have no egos in the gym. If anyone's an arsehole, they get kicked out of the gym. Not in a horrible way, but they just be asked to leave.
Yeah.
And
it is like very much like a family down there. I mean, I've got to be honest, I've been down a lot of boxing gyms, and a lot of them are like a family kind of run environment. But I do like it down the boxing booth. It's just, on a Sunday, it's very welcoming.
Yeah.
I don't have the pleasure of... I go, like this morning, I trained at 6 o'clock down there.
Yeah.
So there isn't too many people down there, but the people that are down there are always really friendly.
It's a good group.
There's a little bit of banter.
Yeah.
And, I always say that people go to the gym, regardless whether it's a boxing gym or they go swimming or they go tennis or they go for a run. If you're training at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're a winner. You've got that winner's mindset.
You're doing it to better yourself.
Yeah, you're sacrificing your sleep.
Yeah.
You're getting up. You're pushing yourself. You're putting yourself through a bit of pain, but to get to a better place in your life.
Yeah.
I think everybody certainly down that gym, and probably other gyms as well, have that kind of winners mentality.
Yeah, and that's why they got the winners mentality, but they're just trying to better themselves, and that's why there's that level of respect. I mean, you've got, let's just use Mick for example. Mick's boxed at Madison Square Garden like 3 or 4 times. That's the pinnacle of boxing. And then you've got, let's say us, where we're just, me, let's say personally, where I'm just on the cusp of
coming through
my name, yeah. And then you've got the Queensbury fighters that haven't decided to take it professionally, but are still dedicating themselves to the sport and getting in and fighting. And then you've got the people that come to the box tech classes to learn the sport. And then you got the guys on the treadmill that are just there to shed a few pounds, or just to, do you know what I mean? But everyone respects everyone. You always get a fist bump when you come into the gym because, everyone's in there to better themselves. And that's just that mutual respect that you get. There's like a famous quote where I saw it recently. I can't remember it exactly, but it's like, a boxing gym is the only place where you'll have criminals, policemen, you know what I mean? People of all religions, just united. Working together.
It's so true. When I was down, I mean, I haven't noticed it as much down boxing booth, but maybe that's because it is a professional boxing gym, and also I'm there up very, very early times. Maybe if I was in there in the daytime, I would see a different side to it. But when I used to go down Kiddle's gym, that was predominantly, I would say, Thai boxing, MMA, but they had a little bit of a boxing community down there as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, there were literally the roadest men that you could imagine. You're talking about tough fucking people who are very intimidating, shotters, etc.
Yeah.
Then you had police officers, but they were all communicating and they were all getting along. There was no, aggression towards this person because he's this race, or that person because he's done that job.
Yeah.
That didn't matter. It all got left at the door. There was a family down there and people training next to each other, sparring with each other. It was a really, really good place to be. And what did I hear before? Boxing, it's not humbles you. It's an equalizer. So it makes everybody equal the moment you step in that ring.
Yeah.
I remember sparring a girl called Bernice, who is a world champion Thai boxer.
Yeah.
And I sparred her. I think it was Thai boxing and a bit of boxing. And it was like the moment you get in that ring, it was almost like, forget if I'm male and she's female. You're just two people having a spar.
Yeah. It's weird, I mean, like, this is going to sound a bit sort of, but there is a bit of a spiritual connection when you do box someone. I
definitely.
mean, when before a fight, right, you're so tense. Personally, I don't mind having a chat with my opponent. I'm not a trash talker. If someone gives it to me, do you know what I mean? I stand up for myself, but I don't mind having a chat with them. But there's a tension there because you're gonna fight. When you do fight, do you know what I mean? There isn't much. You kind of go cold.
Yeah.
After the fight, you're best friends. You know what I mean? I boxed a bloke called Lee Hallett, and he's a journeyman. He's boxing every week, and someone would look at his record and think, oh, do you know what I mean? He's had like 28, 40 fights, whatever. He's won 2. He's but he's the toughest bloke I've ever seen. He's one of the best boxers I've boxed. He will be on the road earning a living for his family, and he will fight every single week, right? When he boxed me, I broke his rib because he told me a few years later, and I dropped him with a body shot. He got up from that shot, finished the fight, and stuck it on me. Then he went on the box the next week, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after, and so on and so forth. And just the level of respect I had for him, doing what he's doing to provide for his family. It's something you can't get playing football against someone. It's something you can't get having a game of tennis against someone. Just putting each other through that grim pain, do you know what I mean? And you do develop a bond with people. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, like you do fight some idiots and you just forget about them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The respect has to be mutual. Yeah. But I think getting in and doing something so intense and so like intense, you do just develop that bond with someone. You basically go through hell with them, Yeah.
So I'm going to probably ask you a silly question and an obvious question, but I just always like to ask the boxers or even any athlete. So obviously got your fight coming up. Naturally, you're doing it to commit on winning. But where do you want to see your actual career going? Do you ever look at someone's career? I don't know why I keep referring to Mayweather, but I think Mayweather is almost the pinnacle of boxing. Yeah, well, obviously undefeated, 50 fights.
Made $1 billion from the sport.
Right, gross revenue. I mean, he's doing exhibitions where it's not going on his professional record and he's still making over 100 million. Yeah. I mean, that is the pinnacle, isn't it? But do you see yourself trying to go down that kind of route, or is it a different route you want to go down?
I mean, like I said earlier, I box for my personal development. That's why I started, and I box because I enjoy it. I don't have a goal, if I'm honest with you. I love top level boxing. I'm gutted HBO left because I would have loved to box on HBO. But I'm just gonna continue until I stop enjoying it. Take the hardest options I can so I can push myself. Like this fight I've got coming up isn't an easy fight.
He's undefeated as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's had 6. Yeah, it's a 10-rounder. And then the fight after that, the winner will box for the Southern area. So this, having 2 years out the ring, only 6 fights, it's a risk. But I know from my own experiences that taking the risk pays off a lot of the time. Yeah. Whatever happens. So I'm just going to keep doing it and until I stop enjoying it. But I've got so many opportunities outside of boxing just because of what I do and because of, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's I'm kind of hoping to, get to a position where I'm happy and content, and then I can use my platform from boxing to have a good career after. Because I've had loads of jobs that I don't like, working for other people. So I want to do my own thing, something I love, and I'm sort of.
Well, that's a good thing about being an athlete. I've seen it with footballers I've interviewed, and certainly boxers. I mean, even when your career, does come to an end, and let's be honest, it's quite rare that boxers go beyond 40, really, unless you're heavyweight, maybe. It's probably going to be between 30 and 35, typically. Yeah. But I think if you can position yourself right and build up your profile, you can use that confidence, any kind of success that you had, even money that you've made, to go into different things, whether you're investing, whether you become a public speaker, whether you do this, you do that. I think it gives you a bit of a foundation to go off and do other stuff.
Entirely. And I've people respect boxers because, like I say, it's scary and intense, and you put yourself on the line, put your life on the line. So people in all sort of aspects of life have respect for you. And I mean, personally, I've been really lucky. I feel I'm already setting myself up for my retirement from boxing, because I know I ain't going to go past 30, 35. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be in this game for a short time in the grand scheme of things in my life. Yeah. So, but it is weird. Just like I say, putting yourself out there, taking risks and saying yes to things gives you opportunities. You create your own luck just with positivity. So just from taking the risk, quitting the jobs I didn't like and doing the boxing, I've met so many new people. So many new people I met, I've got opportunities. On my 5th professional fight, a fella called Marco Bonini, good friend of my girlfriend's family, offered me a job out in the Maldives, teaching people how to box. And I mean, I would never have been able to get that for myself, but just going out there and putting myself on the line, putting myself out there and having a bit of success kind of breeds more success. And I've, you know, just being in the right place at the right time and turning up. I met Martin Tyler. He's one of my, you know, that's a voice that's ingrained in my head from years of FIFA and football.
Oh,
and he gave me an opportunity to write for Sky Sports.
nice.
And it's just little things like that, you know, I just think that changing your mindset, having a positive mindset, going for things and putting yourself out there has a lot of benefits later on in life.
Yeah. So this is where the conversation was going to go. So you've obviously got ambitions and aspirations and let's say a view with boxing. Like you said, you might get to 30 or 35 and then call it a day. Obviously, you want to win as many fights as you can, build it your profile, make enough money, etc., and have that feel-good factor. But now, like, because you are a pro and you've been exposed to these really good people, opportunities will manifest off the back end of it. I always say to the same people, like salespeople, we've got a sales team upstairs. That's the guys I spoke to when you were coming in.
Yeah.
And I said, get fucking really good at this, because when you get really good at this, you can transfer that mindset and that skill set into anything that you want to go into, because life is all about sales. You know, I don't care whether you're a boxer trying to promote yourself, whether you're a salesperson trying to sell art or real estate or whatever it may be. It's all about effective communication. So clearly, with the momentum that you've gained, you've met certain people, and now I noticed over the winter months you were over in the Maldives. Was it Maldives?
It was the Maldives, yeah.
And training people over there. So tell me a bit about that. That's outside of typical boxing, but you are still involved with it because you're training people.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think I have more of a. I think outside the box, you know, a lot of boxers will just think boxing. I just have to box and box and box. But like you say, once you reach 30, your career's over, really. So I was lucky in the regards that Marco offered me a job to go out to the Maldives, to an island called Fushi. And I mean, you know, I'm from Mitcham. I'm you know, it's not the nicest area. It's not, you know, it's not the slums. It's not the nicest area. I never thought I'd go to Maldives on holiday. Fushi was just voted the best luxurious hotel in the world. So, you know, that is something I never ever would have thought I would have done.
It looked beautiful. Some of the promo videos you put together.
Yeah, it's out of this world. I mean, you know, it's where the rich and famous go to chill out. And
it's like paradise, really.
It is like paradise, yeah. I mean, when I was out there, I trained Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. I went snorkeling with her and her family, you know, like, and then you can't, you know, you realise that these people that have such a high following are just normal people.
Yeah.
You know, her family are from down the road from where I am. I met, I won't mention his name just due to privacy, but one of the greatest boxers of all time, just on his holidays. Had a fist bump with him, had a chat with him.
Mike Tyson?
No, it wasn't Mike Tyson. A similar level. Yeah. I have to keep that quiet. Just.
I'll say really when I'm saying that.
I'll tell you after.
All right, wicked. I'm should be meeting Mike Tyson next year.
Nice.
Because I'm doing a Gumball rally.
No, yeah.
So on the Gumball rally, allegedly, he signed up to it along with a few other people, and I'm definitely going to take my mini podcast kit and try and interview these people as I'm going around.
Yeah, no, but 100%, man. He's a legend.
Oh yeah,
you don't get it. Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson are the two names that are synonymous with the sport.
Well, if you just go, if I walked out the street right now and say, name me a famous boxer, they're going to say Muhammad Ali, or they're going to say someone like Mike Tyson. You might get the odd person saying Fury or maybe AJ, but really and truly, it's going to be them people.
You might get a purist that brings up like Inui from Japan or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, that's brilliant. Like, well, going back to it, like, you know, some of the people I've been able to meet out there, and going back to what you said about life is about sales, I do think that is true. But I've had most of my success just from being myself. I'm not necessarily the best speaker. Do you know what I mean? I have got quite a foul mouth. Just I've kept it under control here, but just I use swear words as connectives, just as a bad habit. But I've sort of, you know, I've trained my friends in my garage, and I've trained some of the richest billionaires in the world. Which saying that like that is really sort of
cool.
Yeah. And when I got to Saneba Fushi, I mean, I'd never flown alone, so I was really nervous. It's 4 flights to get to the Maldives, and then you got to get a speedboat, and it's a 24-hour journey.
Very remote, isn't it? Yeah.
Very remote, yeah. And I remember rocking up to the island, and all of the staff were there welcoming me, and I said, like, what am I doing here? Do you know what I mean? But I flourished, and I stood out when I was there just because I was myself. And you know, I mean, you know, not singing my praises, but I've had success of just being nice to people, and just being like I say, myself, and people have picked up on my passion, and you know, I've been lucky to meet some of the coolest people in the world out there.
Yeah. I think what you just said is so important. It's about being authentic.
Yeah.
You know, I've had the pleasure and sometimes the bloody it's a nuisance training sales guys, because they're young, they're alpha male type people, but also at the same time they're still fun. They're the way in life, and they're sometimes a bit of a know-it-all.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get people coming into the environment and they're trying to put on this fake persona. They're either trying to be posh, they're trying to be this uber successful person, they're trying to fake it till they make it, or act as if.
Yeah.
And there is a small level of kind of fake it till you make it in regards
you need the confidence.
and to the confidence, but at the same time, you just need to become the best passionate version of you, not a completely different person that is not authentic, because the moment you're like that, people see through it, like you said, the spiritual level, they feel it. If you're not being authentic, they feel it, and they don't want to go near you because they just don't trust that aroma around you. You know, it's
authenticity is key. There was a German guy out there, a guy called Frank, who is an amazing guy, and he's very spiritual and a lovely guy, and he did sessions with me every day with his girlfriend, and he would like tell me about my spirit and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And how my passion comes off, and how you can see that who I am just from my behavior, and you can see that I'm authentic. And he's involved in my career now, and you know, you can you can fake it till you make it, but you have to be genuine. Like, I was playing chess out there with a family, you know, a very well-spoken family, really nice family. But, you know, I'm not necessarily the most well-spoken person. I'm not like crude, but I'm also competitive, and I'm not very good at chess. So, and he is. So he moved his pawn, and I moved mine. And I got him in a position where I could checkmate him in 2 goes. And I moved it, and he moved his. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna beat him in 2 goes.
He's exposed himself.
Yeah, and I just went, fuck you, because it just came out. That's what I did to my brother. And then he just moved, and I found out that I hadn't actually done anything. But you know, like, it was just my character come out. Just, do you know what I mean? Like, that's just how I am. And he just, you know, you wouldn't say that to someone you don't really know. Yeah. But we kind of had a bond, and he took it well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. In that moment, it was, you know, he just felt that it was authentic again. It was genuine. You were like saying it, but in a banter way.
It's not very professional, but yeah. And you know, I think it was sort of one of the one of the key sort of ingredients to why I've done well so far, is just because, you know, I've stayed true to myself, I think. But I've still got so much. I've hardly cracked anything. Yeah, I've still got so much more to do.
So I know you say you don't really set so many goals, and you kind of what I took from that is you're trying to live in the moment, which I think is such an important thing. Enjoying yourself. I picked up on that. You said, which a lot of people wouldn't actually normally say, I wouldn't think, or even admit to, but you would come away from the sport or come away from whatever you're doing when you stop enjoying yourself, which I think is such an important thing. But if we think about it now then, so let's say 30 to 35 years of age, that gives you, let's say 11 years or something like that. Obviously you've started traveling the world with Maldives and doing what you love, which is boxing and personal training. Where do you see yourself beyond 35? I mean, would you like to move abroad and carry on that, or go into different businesses, become a public speaker, help kids? What is Dan Morley's, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 year vision?
I have got an idea. I mean, I don't set anything in stone, because you don't even know what's around the corner. Do you know what I mean? But I basically didn't give boxing my all for a few years when I was an amateur. And then I stepped away from the sport, done loads of hard, I was builder, pub, postman, worked in the airport. And that's when I realised how much the sport means to me. And you got a short window to be successful in this sport. And now I've kind of realised I've put 3 years of graft in. I want to put as much, let's say 10 years of graft and make something of myself in the sport. So where I can go and travel, teach people the lessons that it's taught me. Because like I say, everything I've gained in my life personally has obviously been around, my family, a good support, a good girlfriend, my girlfriend's family. But it's through the confidence I developed through boxing. I was always good at writing. That was sort of my niche at school. I wasn't particularly good at school. I just used to mess around. I've never really taken anything other than boxing that seriously, to be honest with you. But I was always good at writing. So I've been lucky enough, thanks to Martin Tyler and a guy called Paul Zannon, to get into the writing world to a certain degree. And I'm hoping to continue with that, giving people an insight into, my first-hand experiences in boxing through my writing, and who knows where that could go.
Would I compare it a little bit to Trish Dixon?
Yeah.
Because he's done a little bit. Yeah. He's obviously done that now. He's got his own podcast.
He's got a podcast, hasn't he?
Yeah. I've been in communication with him actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, should be.
Nice.
He's agreed to come on. I'm just trying to fix a date.
Brilliant. Well, he's had he does with Anna Booth, doesn't he? So yeah. No, I mean, 100%. Like I say, it's kind of like the format of this this particular conversation we've had today. It's kind of like the links of boxing in life, and what I found through boxing is just to be adaptable. Just to be well-rounded and be open-minded.
It's a metaphor to life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a metaphor to life. And outside of the ring, you can do your writing, just be positive. Oh, I can do my writing personally. And God knows what can come from that. I mean, going back to your question, like 10, 15 years, I'm hoping right now to be able to keep doing what I'm doing, teaching the sport around the world, write about the sport, be healthy, and just, just be content with what I've done as a boxer, because it's not the be all and end all for me. I've already set myself up to be able to do things after, but I just don't want to live a life where I regret not giving it my all, because that 2-year gap where I gave it up, I was just miserable. So I want to look back and, just go through the grind for 10 years and then, take whatever comes my way. Yeah.
So my view on, like, when someone asks me, or I've asked people, 5, 10, 15, 20 year view, your vision, your goals, that kind of stuff. When I first got into sales is all about positive outlook on life. It's about hard work, very similar to boxing, but also about setting your goals. And it's about being very, very, very detailed about goals. And I still do believe in that. But then I heard someone like Conor McGregor speak once, and he said, when someone said, what's your 5-year goal? And he said, don't have a 5-year goal. He said, it's far too far away. He said, I just think about becoming my very, very best every single day, and the opportunities will manifest.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's so true. If you are, training right, you're eating right, you're speaking right, you're listening to right stuff, you're around the right people, and you're driven for that 24 hours, I do think opportunities will come up. And then it's about you taking them opportunities, and then them opportunities will turn into other opportunities. And before you know it,
a domino effect.
You're from here to here. It's a bit like compound interest. You get interest on your day, and if you can compound it in the right things, great things will happen in your life.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I worked in sales for a year and a half, and my days, I hated it. It was just because it was so rigid, it was so goal set. If you hadn't reached your end of months,
it's like data.
Oh man, I used to have to sell gym memberships. I had like a full-time job for about a year, and I'm not a salesman. People would come to the gym, and I'd be like, if I'm honest with you, there's probably better gyms you can go to. Do you know what I mean? My boss hated me. But it just wasn't. It wasn't
That's
me.
you being authentic again.
Yeah, it was. It's being too authentic. I'm too honest. I was like, this gym's a bit shit. Down the road's a bit cheaper as well.
They're doing a discount today as well.
Yeah. This joining fee you're paying, that's a con. But no, I mean, I just didn't like it, and I learned the sales process. I learned how to catch people. They taught me it, and I knew how to do it, but I just didn't have the passion for it, and I didn't enjoy getting more money out of someone, because I thought, I was always skint. I'd never had any money.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh mate, if someone take an extra score out of my pocket, that's gonna really, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that kind of helped with how I think, and it kind of made me realise I'm not that person.
Yeah.
So like I think with setting goals, because that was such a big thing, you had a goal and you had to hit it, and on your last day you had to stay until you hit it, and you end up finding dodgy ways around it. I just thought I don't feel a sense of joy out of this, so I just do go with the flow, keep the positive mindset, and I've also achieved some things I never thought would be possible. Like when I did get to the Maldives the first time, they put me in a villa which was beautiful. Oh my God, it was a guest villa. It's talking thousands, and I was just able to stay there for a month, and I was in awe of the place. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then when the girl that showed me around left, boom, I'm just in a room. Do you know what I mean? My girlfriend's at home. I can't share it with anyone. Do you know what I mean? So you can have these ideas of goals in your mind, but when reality hits and you've done that, it's not always what it lives up to being. And what do you do next once you reach your goal? Yeah, so just go with the flow, enjoy the process, and just believe in yourself.
Yeah, very, very powerful. Hope we've covered a couple of things that you wanted to talk about. Just one last couple of things then. So your fight coming up. If you were to tell us a bit more about that, like where people can find it, can we come to the fight? Is there an undercard? Are you headlining? What's happening now?
So I'm headlining. It's a 10-round Southern Area title eliminator.
Okay.
It's in Watford Leisure Centre on August the 7th. I would imagine it will be fine with COVID. I know they're talking about extending the release date of lockdown, but I'd imagine it will be fine. Tickets will be available. I just don't know how many are available yet. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Daniel Morley 97. I'm sure it'll be linked on the podcast. And yeah, you just drop me a message. I don't really know the whole crux of the matter, just because everything is so uncertain with COVID.
Yeah.
But the way it's set, it's August the 7th. Tickets will be available. 10-round Southern Area main event.
And quite naturally, then this is going to be stimulating your boxing path again, because obviously I would like to see you in the fights a lot more. Obviously, I only get to see a little snippet about what you're all about, because I only get to expose to you and a few others on a Sunday, really. Yeah. But what I've seen of you, you're fucking like a talent, man. Like, I really, really feel that you've got a lot of value to give to the boxing game, and you're 24 years of age, man. Yeah, I mean, what I would give to be 24 years of age again is nothing short than my left arm. Yeah. So yeah, I think if you can stick at it, if you can remain disciplined and keep on doing what you're doing, mate, you're absolutely gonna make a mark on the sport.
No, thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it.
No problems. Thanks. One more thing I always ask my guests, you might have heard me ask this before. Yep. If you haven't, I'll repeat it. So when I first got into sales, I had my own sales company at 24, 25 years of age, and I had like 40, 50 people on the sales floor working for basically me. And it was all about mindset. It was all about working really hard. It's all about sacrifice. And I came up with a saying, and the saying goes like this. Be happy, never content. It's like a mantra. Yeah. Now, I've got my version of that. I always ask my guests, what does be happy, never content mean to you?
Never settle. Never. You can always progress. You can always learn new things. You can always go into new fields. And you can, if it doesn't necessarily benefit yourself initially, you can always help others. So never be content and just stay,
stay in one place.
Yeah. Don't let things become stale. Always be willing to move on. Be happy. Look on the positive side of things. I mean, I personally, you can call me a bit of a cynic, but I don't think happiness is something that you can always have, because you have to ride the highs with the lows. Of course. Look at the positive of every situation. Positivity does breed a positive way of life. I do think your state of mind does massively affect your state of life. So yeah, just don't settle. You can always help others. You can always learn yourself and expand. So look at the positives.
That's it, mate. Nice one. Well, thank you for your time, bro.
Thanks for having me on. Can I just say thank you to a few people that helped me out for my career, man. Thank you. So I had a lecturer in my college called Rory Frystone, and he actually sponsored me through Pilgrim Brewery, which is a brewery in Reigate, and they do really nice ales. And I want to say thank you to him because he's helped me through a lot of tough times, just sort of being generous. And, you know, he's obviously seen something in me in my career. And he was a pretty nice teacher to me as well, actually. It was pretty nice. So I want to thank him. Obviously, Frank, who I met in the Maldives. I want to say a big thank you to my family and my girlfriend, and the Dylan House Foundation. They've also helped me through because there's lots of things with boxing that you don't see. Like when you are a professional boxer, all of your expenses come out of your own pocket. So you have to have annual brain scans, you have to have annual medicals, you have to have annual fees, and it costs thousands. So I've had quite a few people help me out. My uncle Gary as well, in times of need, and my granddad. Do you know what I mean? Like just all my family and all my friends that come. Like this is a very individual sport, but there's a massive like kind of collection of people that help me out, and it's brilliant, man. Every time I have a fight, there's like a whole community of people, and it's friends from here, friends of friends. You know what I mean? So I just want to thank everyone that's helped me, but there's a few people in particular. Jimmy Jukes and Michelle from UK Homes for Heroes. They've been brilliant with me as well. And, you know, I'll probably end up forgetting someone, but just everyone has helped me along the way. I've still got a long way to go, but in order to get here, I've had to have a lot of help. And thank you for having me on the podcast.
No, absolute pleasure, mate. And thank you for helping me out when I come down on a Sunday and we do a bit of sparring together. No doubt in the next few weeks, we'll do a few more.
Listen, the feeling's mutual, man. You got to get in there, same way as I got to get in there, and we learn from each other. So, no, thank you, man.
Wicked, mate.
Brilliant.
Right, if you're listening to this, please subscribe. Also follow Dan. Make sure you're following his fights. And always remember to be happy, never content. Nice one, guys and girls.
Cool. Sweet, top man.
Nice one, mate.
Thank you, man.